Building a role-playing collaborative book. Like it's a role-playing game, and then as we go through episodes, the lore is codified into a fictional book series, basically. This is called Aria's Tale. In front of us is the YouTube video summarizing the first episode in the past. You can check that out if you're interested. And today what I want to do is two things. First of all, we're world building. So I'm hoping you can help me pick a world map. And we'll go through, we have like 12 different options, and I'll walk through how these were generated. And you can vote as the chat. Hopefully it's live and interactive, and you can help me pick the world map we go with. And then I want to also walk through some of the developments and tools in Aria's Tale. So first of all, let's review what is Aria's Tale. Aria's Tale is a communal role-playing experiment where there's like tabletop elements and die rolling with players, but the chat is also able to drive characters and world events. And so this stream is an example of one where you're going to help me world build Dragonica, a region of the game world. Okay, and it's named Aria after the character Aria, who was created by game players in collaboration with GPT. So we use GPT tooling. I had no plans for a character named Aria. That was non-deterministically randomly generated by ChatGPT. And that's where some of these maps come in. So I didn't draw this by hand. I wish I had that much talent. These images were drawn by two different AI. One is Leonardo.ai, and there's a bunch of different engines within the Leonardo platform. And then the other is DALL-E through GPT-4. And there's a bunch of different art styles, and so I'm hoping you can help me pick the one that you like. So over here, you can see the numbers 1 through 12. And we're going to walk through them, and hopefully I can just get some votes in the chat. So welcome all. And if you're on TikTok, you can go over to YouTube. Link is in the bio, and see the full screen. Cool, so here is map number 1. And basically all of these maps are going to look something like a regional or partial world map. And one of the things that I like about this is you can see it's not the whole world. It's a shroud of an unknown region around the borders here. And that's intentional. So Dragonica is a region of a world. It's not a whole world. And the campaign that will take place there, I don't want it to presume other stuff about the other regions of the world. Does that make sense? Thanks for joining, by the way. Okay, so there's pros and cons to this art style, but it sort of looks like, an RPG world map that's partially explored. And that's exactly as intended. Okay, so there's one, here is another. And so to help you make a decision about which map is most fitting, I'll give you some of the high-level descriptions about the realm of Dragonica. And I don't want to get too low level because I don't want to give the story away, and we don't even know the story because there will be die rolls that drive some of this stuff, random number generation and so forth. But there are some high-level things that sort of outline the plot. And so one of those is that Dragonica is adjacent to the ocean. The ocean does not surround it. It is not a continent. It is part of a continent, including an expansive ocean. Okay, that's point number 1. And point number 2 is that Dragonica includes mountains. That's pretty much the two things that we have to go with. So Dragonica is adjacent to the ocean, and it includes mountains. So with that, here's the third map. Again, one thing that I like about this is that I intentionally prompted the various tools. You should not be surrounded by water. So in some cases it put it on one side, in some cases it put it on two sides. That's the random aspect, and I really like that. But in any case where it completely surrounded the map, or in any case where there were actually 0 mountains, those were criteria to throw out that image. So what do you think, chat? Any of these looking good so far? We have 12 to go through. This is number 3. You can see there's barely any mountain in this third one. Here's the fourth one. This is one that I was very close to throwing out. because on the right there, it almost looks like an island, doesn't it? But I think we can say two things. One is, at the very northern border, it's not clear that that's an island due to the northern border there. It sort of disappears into the shroud. So it's arguably allowable. The other and how do I zoom out, by the way? Thanks for the likes. Oh, cool. And I do just like the art style here. So one of the things that we can say is that it's not clear that it's an island. What's up, Jelly Shop? Thanks for being here. Quick reminder, you can go to YouTube. Are you building a game? Omar Ghoul. Yeah, I am building a game, and I'm hoping that y'all can help out. So I'm presenting various maps that were generated with AI, and I'm hoping the community can help me vote and pick your favorite map. And so we're collaboratively building the world together. That's the idea here. So this is going to influence the game world in the future. So Omar, they're numbered 1 through 12 different options for you to pick from. You can see the full screen if you go over to YouTube, link is in my bio, or I'll just shout out the numbers and maybe you can vote if you have a favorite. Or even if you don't know the number, as we cycle through, if there's one that you like more, you can just say something like this one or not this one, something like that. So the land of Dragonica should not be surrounded on all sides by ocean, but in this case you can argue that it's allowable because at the very top we don't see ocean there, so it could be landmass to the north. These regions might even connect. And the other thing you could say is perhaps Dragonica, so Dragonica does include islands, so perhaps this western side connects to the mainland and this eastern side is just an enormous island. And in that case, you can see how Dragonica as a whole is not surrounded by ocean because of this western thing. So due to those two elements, it seems allowable to me. Indeed, this middle part is arguably not an ocean. It might be something like the equivalent of the Mediterranean Sea, or even just an enormous, enormous river, something like an Amazon river. And so we don't quite throw this out, so this might be allowable. Here's the next map. Thanks for the follow. So here, this is very clearly a peninsula map, and that's okay. So remembering in the past, this one is sort of a bay map. This one is, the ocean is to the south, but it's very much part of a continent. This one, you have the interesting sort of maybe ocean on two sides or ocean on one side and sea on the other side, something like that. So you can get really different, you can see how these would impact the narrative in different ways, right? In addition to just having different art styles, which are kind of cool. So do feel free to leave feedback on the art style versus the map itself. This one is really interesting. Another thing that I noticed, so first of all, it's a peninsula map. The other thing I notice is that it has a mountain range to the north that is tree covered. At least it seems that way. In contrast to the usual mountains, which are, barren at the top. Okay, so this is number 5, map number 5, which is a peninsula map in Green Mountains. And here's map number 6. I think there might be... Yeah, this is one that I like quite a lot. In fact, I had to resist the urge to just outright pick it because I want this to be collaborative. But here in map 6, you can see you have ocean to one side, and you have a very large cluster of mountains to the north, and a smattering of forest elsewhere. So some other elements about the realm of Dragonica that are going to be relevant. It's called Dragonica because it's the land of dragons. Dragons are found throughout the game world, but Dragonica is where they reign. They are intelligent creatures that actually rule this region. What are you making this for, says Parker. What's up, Parker? Great question. So I'm making a collaborative role-playing game. It's a series of campaigns. It's not a one-off. You can think about it like a TV series where there's many different episodes.
Daddy.
See you later. My son just went to sleep. So there's going to be many different episodes, and one of them already occurred. Let's see if I can find that for you. So this is called Aria's Tale. So on my YouTube channel, there's Aria's Tale Chapter 1. And it's similar to a tabletop role-playing game, similar to like a D&D, except we're not following D&D rules literal. But you roll dice, you roll a D20, you roll a D6 to determine character actions. There's stat sheets. There's monsters like this tree monster. And what makes this really interesting is that it is generated using generative AI tools. So let's talk about some of those tools for a minute. So now, what are we looking at? This is Visual Studio Code. And this is a repository that now includes a README. So this is going to include some of the new tools that are being used to build this game world. And one of the most exciting ones, I think, is an AI tool, an AI assistant right here. So GPT-4, is there dice roll automated in the code, or do you input roll dice? It's both. Great question. So let me show you this. So this was not an official canon event, but it was just me play testing the battle system. And you can see the GPT rolls. So you have attack rolls, you have stats, and you can see that it has code in here. And so you can see it's writing Python code. Isn't this wild? So the GPT is writing Python code to literally execute these battles. And there are cases where I might roll it or a player will roll it and then tell GPT what they rolled, and then the tool might interpret it instead of rolling for you. But both happen. And so here you can see a battle between a team of elves and humans fighting against a team of dwarves. And interestingly, the system is able to write a Python file that has attack and defense, and then it simulates the turns. And it's literally rolling, you can see in this case, it's a 1d6 plus some attack and defense modifiers. So great question, Parker, and I hope that answers it. And there is this custom GPT tool, which is the Aria's Tale Roleplay Assistant. And this is a public GPT. You can go use it. It's very experimental. Why use GPT to run your code and now just ask for the code they're using? And does it cost money to play? I'd try it out. Imponed, what's up, what's up? You just gave me a genius idea opening VS Code at the moment. Great. I'm glad that we can inspire one another. So it currently does not cost money as far as I'm aware. You can check this, by the way. So you can go to this URL, maybe take a screenshot on your phone or refer to the YouTube video. So this is saved and recorded to YouTube. And I think you can use that even if you're using the ChatGPT free account. But I am using GPT-4. And so it might be the case that you need the GPT Premium to access that. I'm not 100% sure. Parker says, I got to go, but thanks. I'll try it out and see. Good to see you, Parker. Thanks for dropping by. How are you making the API calls? Do you need a key? No API calls today, maybe in the future. Today, I'm just using the ChatGPT interface. Good question. Okay, so those are some of the tools that help us ensure that the game system is implemented consistently. And I can dive into the game system itself if you're interested. There is a simple mode and a complex mode. In the simple mode, it's similar to the Risk board game, where units have attack and defense, and you roll a die, and you simply add that, and that will give you your chance to hit. And then if you hit, you run the calculation again for the damage points, and you have enough health points, and then you might kill the unit. So that's the simple mode. In the complex mode, you have common, uncommon, rare, and unique units, and those have modifiers, and you might get special abilities, and you might have to deal with magic points and stuff like that. You can have the AI automatically run the tools and tell you what happened, or you, the player, can make decisions if you want to play that way. So it's you can choose whether to do an auto battle or not, basically. Okay, so those are some of the tools that we're using. Let's return to the game map options. Again, today we're trying to pick the map for Dragonica, and you are influencing the world here. So map 1 is going to be a bay map. Map 2 is an expansive ocean on the southern and eastern side. It's kind of a combination bay peninsula map. This has the 2 oceans or seas on either side. This third one is an enormous, ambiguous, either peninsula or island on the east, and then connected to the continent on the west. This is map 4. Who did the art? Unpwned, good question. So these are all AI generated maps. So I prompted various models with details about the Dragonica game world, and there are many variations of maps that it spat out. And now you, the community, get to pick which one becomes true. DALL-E did some of these. It did not do all of them. So a bunch of them came from Leonardo.ai. Let me show you what is Leonardo.ai. You can check this out. And there are a variety of models inside of this platform. But yeah, basically, there were 2 model sources, the Leonardo platform, and then some from DALL-E as well. Good questions. So cool. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is map 4 we're currently on. Feel free to vote for your favorite. Or you can anti-vote. You can say, I don't like this one, right? Here's map 5, and this is 3 sides, ocean on 3 sides. So this will result in a more coastal game, and this one has the green and smaller mountain range, which is a unique aspect of this one. Map 6 has the ocean to one side, and you can see there's like a very well-beaten path on the southeast heading up towards the mountain. There's a bit of a river down from the mountain. And the land of Dragonica is the land of dragons. And there are also dwarves and even some demons and humans. Here's map 7. And this one is almost illegal because there's very much ocean on all sides. You could argue that there is something to the north. Maybe there's a land bridge on the northern side that connects it to another continent, so it's not quite its own continent, but it very much looks like its own continent. So if I were to pick this one, feel free to vote for this one, but I might want to crop it. Basically, and say I slice it in half and either take the western side or the eastern side as canon and then ignore the rest of it, because again, the land of Dragonica is not meant to be a continent. Still, I think this is a really cool looking map. And some really cool artifacts. Let me zoom in here. It's kind of hard to zoom. One of the things that I think is really, thanks for the follow. One of the things I think is really cool here is this like castle, like maybe demon castle, vampire castle looking thing that's on like a desert island. So I thought this was a really cool element. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to keep it around. Another thing interesting about this map, lots and lots of mountains, as opposed to some of the other scanter mountains. And these mountains are very clearly lots of icy regions. So if you think that's interesting, throw in a vote for this. And then really interesting, there's icy mountains in the north, and there's desert mountains in the southwest, which again is a very interesting element. Arath says, what language of coding do you use? I code in a bunch of different programming languages. My most commonly used in my day job would be Python, but also Ruby. And outside of my day job, on my side projects, my main one will be TypeScript. However, the tools that I've built for this, GPT has tended to build them in Python as well. Omar Ghoul says, desert on coastline, ick face. Okay, good call. I mean, on the one hand, we do have like the Western Sahara, so there's that, but it's unusual, right? And so maybe feel free to downvote it. So put an L in the chat if you want to downvote this map. All right, let's proceed to map 8. Okay, so we're downvoting map 7. Thank you so much. Here is map 8. And there are some similar elements. Oh, and I need to figure out how to control my zoom better. And there's some different elements. Let me call out some of the different ones. First of all, there's clearly not ocean all the way around. This is very clearly land connected in the northwest. So this is an enormous peninsula, but it's not fully surrounded. So it's better aligned with the original story. I wouldn't necessarily need to crop it. Other cool stuff here. In the south and in the southwest, you can see, and in the southeast, you can see other land masses. This one almost reminds me of Morrowind to an extent. If you ever played Morrowind, there is a big landmass to the southwest of that. And another cool thing here is, this reddish region, which I take to mean volcanic activity in this region. That being said, we do have what looks like dry climate mountains in this area over here. So feel free to vote L on this one as well, or give it a W, or we can check out some other maps. So that's map 8. Okay. Here is map 9. This is a cool map because it's so huge. It's so huge. And there are some real RPG like elements drawn on this one. It's almost like the AI tried to name towns and things. So here's like a symbol that looks like it could be an important forest area. There's like buildings scattered around. Maybe these are strongholds. And you can see the AI didn't really make letters, but it made these like bits that look like they're supposed to be labels. Omar says, I like forest and mountain separation. Okay. So do you like this one in front of us? Would you consider this to be separation? Is that what you mean, or is that not what you mean? Joe says no. Okay, got it. So Joe, is that a vote against this one? So here we are on map 9. So let's confirm that we don't want map 9. One Neptune says, do you share your AI prompts and tools? This looks so cool. I'm definitely trying to be very open. So here I have the README, and I have a bunch of tools and information. Omar says, yes, you can tell there's a forest. Okay, great. So I'm trying to be very open, One Neptune. However, I will say I did try out a ton of different prompts, and I just didn't save them all. So it's not really out of a spirit of trying to be closed. Like, this is very much supposed to be open source. However, I did not save them all. Link to repo. Okay, great question. Let's see. Thanks, Joe. Okay, noted. So we will pull out that map. Thank you, Joe. So we've eliminated 2 of the maps. So One Neptune, this is the Futurecaster RPG repository. Futurecaster RPG repository. Now, if you look in here, this is a mono repo of a few different folders. And you know what? I'll go ahead and push. There's a bunch of files here that I have not yet pushed. So you're going to look in the Aria's Tale Notes subfolder. And I'll go ahead and push this right now so that you can see it. Let's remove these DS store files. So here is feet. Aria's Tale Notes. Okay. Then we'll delete these things. And now we can go ahead and get ready to delete 9. So community involvement here is a cornerstone of the Aria's Tale role-playing series. And then we also wanted to delete 7 because Omar said Mountains by the Desert is ick. Update your get ignored. Thanks for the push. The TikTok algorithm is on point. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and push deleting the delete community disliked maps. Cool. And there you go. You can see the Aria's Tale. Pro tip number 2, you should as the DS store file to get ignored. Yeah, that is a good tip. If they come back, I'll do that, but they're gone for now. Good tip. Making a mobile game with ChatGPT scaffold out the art. It's really good at that, right? Okay, so here is map 10. We have not yet seen this. There are 12 maps total. We've been through, this will be number 10, and we've removed 2, so we're narrowing it down. This one's interesting because the art style here is similar to like a fire emblem or something, right? So you have the hex cells. So do we like that or do we not like that? What are your thoughts? Another thing about this is that it's arguably illegal. It looks like there's water going all the way around. One Neptune says non-uniform hex, no-go. Got it. Okay, we'll delete it. Cool. Enough said. I was going to say it's arguably illegal because it seems like there's ocean all the way around, but technically on the north and south, it could be continued landmass. But we'll delete that for the non-uniform hex. Here is number 11. This is also hex style, but it's interesting because it's like zoomed in. And I don't know, is that good or is that bad? Now, notice that this is totally legal in the sense of lore. It is a region. It's a subsection of a continent, right? And there's not ocean going all the way around. There's sort of like either a lake or maybe a river. And there are mountains and there are some dry spots and so forth. So from a lore perspective, it's good. It has this really interesting... It's a nice concept for a rough mood board to give a real artist. Yeah, that's a good point too. So I don't know, what do we think about this one? I like the tilt shift and tree grouping. Right, it's almost like the 2.5D, right? There's like a, what's that game called? Oh, I don't know what the game is called. But there's like an art style, which I'm going to call that 2.5D. Maybe that's wrong. Okay, so here's an option. We'll bear it in mind. We'll move on for now. I don't see any W's or L's, so we'll just leave it there for now. And here's the last one we'll consider. And this really looks like a strategic battle map from like Heroes of Might and Magic. So if you zoom in, you can see units on hex cells. But if you zoom out and if you sort of take those as symbolic and you don't take the player characters too literally, it actually arguably maps with the lore. Let me see if I can zoom in on this correctly. So the thing that's interesting about this is that it's sort of a plains region surrounded by mountain, which is unique from a narrative perspective. Now on the southeast, you can see water flowing out. So in theory, that would be the ocean right there. And it would be a cliffy ocean. And then there's also a bit of water here. So maybe the ocean wraps around. So this would be a unique geographic pick. And it would be very much surrounded by icy mountains, which is, again, distinct from the other maps. And you can see interspersed is some plains, some forest, and some watery areas. There's also some funky symbols on this one, like this green and purple symbols. Omar says L. Okay. All right, so we'll throw out map 12. Thank you, chat, for the clear and for participation. Thank you so much. Okay, so we started from 12. And we're narrowing it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 remaining. Omar says, my favorites are 3 and 6. Okay, so let's go look at these again. So here's 3. All right, and let's see if we can get a +1 on any of these. I also do have 2 people at the house, so even if we end the stream, I can ask them for votes if we're trying to get a +1. So we like 3, and we like, here's 6. And I admit, I really do like this one. I'm trying to keep my own bias out of it, but I really like this one. So here's 6. Throw a like on the video if you're getting anything out of this. And 6 plus 1, to be honest. Okay, and this is 1. Oh, +1 in the sense of voting for 6. Got it, got it. Okay, totally makes sense. Okay, do we have any other votes in the chat? Let's take it from the top. Thank you so much, Omar. So far, map 6 is leading. So is that going to be it, or will we flip the vote? So here's map 1. We can call this the Bay map. Here's map 2. I don't know what to call this one. Maybe the Forests in the North map. Maybe that's what we'll call it. This is also interesting because there's mountains along the waterside. So map 2 will be the Forests in the North, mountains along the ocean. Okay. Map 3 has the 2 seas or 2 oceans on either side. Map 4 has the sort of enormous, ambiguously island peninsula thing going on in the east. Map 5, this is definitely a large peninsula map, and then the Green Mountains are the unique artifact here. Map 6 has your sort of classic looking mountains, perfect home for the dwarves, ocean along the west, well-beaten path in the east. Here's map 8. Map 8 being interesting because the volcanic region and the frozen land bridge in the northwest. And the last one, map 11, with the interesting zoomed in 2.5D hex art style. That seems to be almost like maybe in the center of a continent. I guess we'll have to, it's supposed to be along the ocean, so I guess we'll have to presume that this spot here leads to ocean, basically. TikToker votes 1. TikToker, can you confirm for me, are you voting +1 for this map 11? Or are you saying that, here's map 1 again, that you are voting for map 1? Can you confirm that for me? Map 1. Thank you so much, TikToker. Okay, we have a tie. We have 3 minutes remaining. We can leave it at a tie, that's fine. Or we can find a tiebreaker. So it looks like map 1 and map 6. So the tiebreaker, I can take this offline and just have some of the people here in physical space with me voting. Map 6 and map 1. What are some differences here? Let's highlight. So map 1 has a large lake along the mountains. That's different. And the whole bay thing. I guess there's more non-ocean water in map 1, so that's interesting. And map 6 has a very clear, like, classic mountain here, and then it sort of leads into a range in the north. I guess there's fewer mountains in map 6.
All right, I'm putting up the gate. You're not listening.
And in map 1, there's mountains almost all the way around. So from the northwest to the north to the northeast, there's an open plains, and then there's mountains in the southeast. So surrounded, more like surrounding by mountains in map 1. Quick reminder, in case you've recently joined, what we're doing here is we are collaboratively world building. And so I will take 2 more minutes to see if we can break the tie. We're looking at map 1 and map 6. Also, feel free if you want to look at the other maps. Maybe you recently joined, and maybe we'll end up with a 3-way tie. I'll just click through some of these again. So you can vote for one, you can vote against one of them. Map 1 is more interesting. I vote 1. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think we broke the tie, and thanks so much for participating. For map 6, we liked it as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and incorporate them both, but I think these will be different regions. So follow the page, stay tuned, follow the YouTube, and you will get to find out how they are both incorporated. We'll go with map 1 for Dragonica, and map 6. One Neptune says, map 6 reminds me of Faerun. Let me write that down because I don't immediately know what you're talking about. I'll have to research that. Faerun. From the Forgotten Realms, you mean? I'll do some research on Faerun. Cool, thanks everyone for being here. And this is, let's see. My VS Code is lagging a little bit. All right, and this is your new Dragonica. So this is the map. I might tune up the art style. So I might like throw this to an AI and ask it to sort of clean it up or make the art style look cooler. But these are going to be some of the locations. And I already have some high level concepts planned for this region. But you never know what might happen because you never know what that die is going to roll or what the chat will do to mix it up. So I plan to play this map or a different map later today. So follow the page and I'll see you later today.
We can stream the new Hunger Games on Peacock.
Ooh, ooh.
Are you down?
Yeah. TikToker, how much of the game have you completed? You are here at the perfect time. We have only done 1 episode. So here it is on YouTube, Aria's Tale Chapter 1 summarized. And yeah, go check it out to see what happened so far. Think about your favorite Netflix series. We have only done the first episode, and we have a lot in store in this expansive universe.